Are we recording? Okay, excellent. So, hi everybody. Welcome on board. So this is the kickoff, the faculty briefing for the annual portfolio management competition. I think most of you have taken part in the past or have heard about it. So what we'll do is I'll go through what we call the faculty briefing. We'll be telling you what are the latest rules, what's the competition about. And now I'm aware a lot of you have done it before, so we can go quickly through that. And we'll then go through the next steps. And obviously, I'm open to questions anytime along the way. Either, interrupt me, type it in the chat, or, use the raise hand feature in Teams. And, and I'll stop along the lines as well to take some questions. So this is the fourth year we're running this. We started, I think 2021 was the first year, and it's just been growing and growing. As you know, last year we added a second region. So in the beginning it used to be Middle East and Africa. Now, since last year, we've also added Central East Europe and the CIS countries. Now, what's the competition? As usual, it's for the students to build the highest performing portfolio over a period of 5 weeks. And this is based on a set of criteria that we share with them. The portfolios will be selected and built using the LSEG Workspace for Students application, which we will also train them on how to use. So what are the benefits? What are the benefits for you as a school, and what is the benefits for the students? For you as a school, you're enabling experiential learning to all the students so that they can apply all the theory into practice. And they're using LSEG Workspace, which is a platform that's widely used in the workforce. It's not just a platform for universities, it's actually mainly designed for investment banking, asset management, portfolio management. So you're able to provide that learning of financial knowledge and investments, and through gamification. All young people, they like games nowadays, so we're giving them that competition and that gamification into it. They'll be able to combine quantitative and qualitative techniques in stock selections, things that you are teaching them. And for you as well, there's an increase in engagement, an increase in competition. And what we mean by engagement and competition is the competition, so the students compete with each other and against other students from other universities, but also it increases the engagement they have with you, they have with the platform. If you are a university that is using our workspace platform, which some of you are, this increases the usage, which gives you back a return on the investment that you've put into these platforms. They're no longer just sitting there used once in a while. Students will really get into them. And of course, there's a publicity into it. We post on social media about this. If you're winning, if you're finalist, your university name will be mentioned. For the students, what do they get out of it? They advance their studies, they deepen their understanding, and they apply their learning in an impactful way. So they can gain knowledge of all the asset management workflows and of workspace. And those are things that are important for them, especially if they are finance students. These are things they will learn as they move into the workforce. They're going to use a real-life portfolio management tool, and they're going to understand what are the risk factors of constructing a portfolio. The other aspects of what they gain is in terms of their future. It helps them add something to their CV to help them qualify and be better for the workforce. They get to network with experts, with other top performers, with us who are, we are working in this industry. And everybody gets a certificate of completion when they do this competition, which enhances their resumes. So just touching a little bit on last year's competition, what were the numbers? What did we do? So last year, as we said, we expanded to a new region. We added a second region. Lots of talent in both regions. It was probably the most competitive, most talented version we've done of this competition. And the numbers we had last year, we had 215 students registered, around 46 universities, and from 16 different countries. And we had, hello. We added, I think in the end, we gave 6 internships last year, and they were from Austria, Egypt, Hungary, Lebanon, South Africa, and Turkey. And you can see some examples of, some of the social media that we put on LinkedIn for the winners, for the finalists, and some of the the sessions we had with them when they joined the company. This was, I think, the induction day we had last year. So what is the eligibility? Why did we invite who we invited? What is our criteria when we invite the universities? Generally, it's open to all universities that have business schools, preferably with finance disciplines, but it's not a mandatory thing. We open the competition in countries where we have offices, and I'll explain why later. And any university that is already a client of ours is automatically invited. And then we invite universities that fit within a certain QS ranking quartile or have an AACSB membership. Each university will get to invite up to 5 students per universities. And we want them to have knowledge and interest in the financial markets, and we also want them to have good English communication skills, as it's very important for the presentations when they get to the presentation part. And I'll explain that as well later. The way we'll do the competition, similar to the year before, there's a performance part for 5 weeks, and then there are 2 semifinals, one for each region, and then the best players from each semifinal get to the final, the grand final, and then there are 5 winners out of that. So it's 10 in each semifinal, then 10 finalists, and then 5 winners. So the process is quite simple. So there's a very easy registration process for all the students. They go on a page similar to what you have done. They sign up to the sessions. Obviously, they get nominated by you. They all get a free trial access to Workspace, which we provide them. And this would be separate to any Workspace access they already have at your university. So if you are using Workspace and one of the students that is participating has an account, we will give them a separate account to use for the competition. We'll do the trainings, we'll do weekly meetings with specialists and with them. We'll give them the criteria, and we'll do all the performance monitoring. So basically what we're trying to say here is that your job, you don't have to do much as faculty. You can mentor them, of course, if you want to be, watching what they do, helping, obviously not doing the competition yourselves, but, guiding them, that's fine. But if you also want to have a very hands-off approach, you just need to nominate them, make sure that they're doing the competition, they're participating, and we take care of the rest. So moving on to the selection criteria, in terms of what is the universe that they're allowed to build. We've kept it simple. We've kept it very, very similar to what it was last year. And basically, the universe this year that they're allowed to build a portfolio from is, again, the Russell 1000. We've lowered the minimum ESG score from 60 to 50 this year, just to give them a few more stocks to choose from. No single security can exceed 10% of weight in the portfolio, and the portfolio cannot exceed 50 stocks. So similar to what it's been since the beginning. We'll be evaluating the same as last year. We'll evaluate on portfolio returns, selection effect, allocation effect, and Sharpe ratio. And each one of those will have a 25% weight on the rating. And how the rating works, so we give each student a score between 1 and 5 in the first part of the competition. And if a student has their portfolio returns in the top 20%, they get 5 points. If they're in the second quintile, they get 4. And then we average that out and they get a rating. If 2 students have the best, let's say the same rating, let's say 2 students have 4 or 4.5, the student with a higher portfolio return will be ahead of the other student. So I'll just stop here to see if there's any questions so far.
Not from my end, all is clear.
Perfect. Anyone else? All right.
It's fine from my side.
Perfect. All right, so I'll move forward if there's no questions. So what's the timeline?
There seems to be a question on the chat.
Okay.
No,
Yes, I see it.
It's not
one
yet.
question. It says one question. Can you talk a bit about selection and allocation? So it's I'm not the most qualified to it. I have the definition on some of the documentation we'll be sending to the students. I think there's a bunch of finance professors here. You should all answer that one instead of me because I'm not the expert on finance, but it's basically one of the ratios that calculates how a portfolio manager performance is in terms of their selection compared to either the sector or their stocks they're selecting. We'll be sending that out to all the students, of course, what the definition is. And in terms of how it's measured, the platform itself gives us those criteria, and we usually compare it towards the benchmark. So the students will be measured against the Russell 1000. We'll compare their selection and allocation effect based on that. So it's more about the structure of the portfolio. It is about the structure, the risk, and the returns. So we want to see how they select. We want to see their performance, and we want to see, what sort of risk they're taking. That's why we're taking these 4 measures. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Ziad. So about the timeline, we're keeping it very similar to how it's always been. So let's say we are in this part of the competition now. So we've opened registration on the 10th of September, and the registrations are open technically until the 7th of October. This is when, we'd like you to send us your nominations. We will take nominations up to the 14th because, we're starting the performance of the portfolio on the 14th, but preferably if we can have your student nominations by the 7th, it would be best for them. Because if you send us students on the 13th, they have 1 day to build a portfolio and submit it. So on the 7th, on the 8th, we'll start doing the student sessions. So we'll do 2 student sessions. We'll train them. We'll tell them what the competition's about, how to search for the stocks, how to build the portfolio, how to submit it, how to share it with us, and how to do rebalancing. We open the access to the platform on the 9th of October. And then, different from last year, we're giving the students 5 days to get to grips with the platform, to test some, portfolios, to sort of like play around with it, go through all the questions they're going to have to us. And then on the 14th is the deadline to submit the portfolio. And this is where we will start the performance measurement, which means that if a student submits a portfolio on the 12th, that's fine. We'll just start counting the performance from the 14th. We will then do the weekly Q&A and motivator sessions. So there'll be 17th, 22, 29, 5th. And then the 14th will be the final Q&A session. And that's when we close the access and we take the performance. So the students will have pretty much a whole month of performance on their portfolio. We'll announce the semifinalists on the 15th. And then the semifinalists will have about 6 days to prepare their presentations, which we will obviously brief them on how to do it, what the requirements are, what to focus on, what not to focus on. We'll sort of, give them a helping hand there. The 22nd, we announce the finalists. Then they have 4 days to sort of, fine tune their presentations, do things that, they think they got the feedback from the semifinals. And then on the 27th, we'll announce the winners. I'll explain why there's 2 stages to any of you who have not done it before. What we've tried to do this year as well, sort of in that period when they get access to when they submit, is we're sort of going to give them some mini objectives just to keep them engaged. So, we'll tell them you get access on the 9th. On the 10th, make sure you've installed it. By the 12th, make sure you've done the layout, you've played with the screener. And by the 13th, you've built like a test portfolio, and then you can submit. So we just want to try to be there with them to sort of just not get lost for 5 days. So we'll give them these mini objectives. There's no prizes for that. It's just we'll send them reminders, let's say. Any questions on the timeline? And Ziad, to answer your questions, yes, they can. They can change their portfolio of their submission. So they are allowed to do rebalancing throughout the whole month. So the evaluation. So let's talk about what happens after the first period. In the first period, they have a month where they can build a portfolio, rebalance their portfolio, and at the end of that month, we take the measurement based on the 4 criteria that we mentioned at the beginning, and we give them a score. That score counts to 30% of their final score. So the semifinalists and the finalists will then be evaluated by a panel of jury from our company, from external, from banks, from some of our clients that we work with, the students will present to them about their portfolio. So we want to know, why did they select what they selected? What was the thinking behind it? Why did they choose a specific sector? What ESG strategy they had? Did they have one? Did they not have one? If they didn't have one, why? If they had one, why did they take that approach? So we want to see what their knowledge is. We want to see what their ESG strategy was. And we'll be giving them points. The jury will be giving them points based on that. Also, very important, and why I mentioned the English language, is 20% of the marks will be about, their introduction, their language, their delivery, their visuals, and their timing. It's very, very important that they have that, because the competition is all in English. The jury will be judging in English. And we had, one or two situations in the past few years where, unfortunately for a student, they didn't speak English almost at all. And it's just unfair for them. And it gives them sort of a handicap, let's say. So we want all the students to have that fair approach. They can all have, that delivery, that language skill that will not hamper them. So this is something that's very important. It's also very important in the professional workspace, because, you need to be able to communicate with colleagues. You need to be able to deliver presentations. This is something that is in demand anyway in the workforce. So that's how the jury will evaluate. Any questions on this? All right. So I see the demo account has transaction cost spreads like the real world. There is no transaction costs. We don't have it in the demo account. We don't have it in the platform, because it's just not designed that way. It's not an order management system or an execution management system. It's pretty much a pre-trade kind of platform. You could build portfolios to do simulations, to do tests, but there are no transactions. So the students can change their stocks as much as they want. They don't incur a cost per se. But obviously, when we train them, because a lot of students ask us this question, we tell them you can rebalance your portfolio every day if you want. But in reality, if you were a portfolio manager, you won't be doing that, because there are transaction costs. So we tend to give them that taste of it, to sort of tell them that this is how it happens in the real world, because some students like to have a different portfolio every day, and just it doesn't help them. Their performance doesn't really work every day when they do that. So moving on, what are the awards? Everyone wants to win something. So what we've done over the years, and we're going to keep that this way, is every single student that participates will get a certificate of completion, that they took part. The finalists and semi-finalists will get another certificate that says they made it to the finals. And then the 5 winners, they get offered, they get a certificate as well, but they also get offered an opportunity to have a paid internship at one of our offices. And this is why we choose competitions, universities that are in a country where we have an office, so that if somebody wins from that university, we have a local office to accommodate an intern. And this is why it's not a team. It's not by teams. Every student, every one of your 5 students competes for him or herself, because if they win an internship, they get the internship, not a whole team. We cannot offer 5 internships to 5 teams of 5 people. We don't have the approvals to do that. Obviously, winners get announced, university names get announced for the winners, and we try to keep posting on social media about what's going on for the semifinals, for the grand finals, and for the winners. And just a really nice stat that we took from last year, we did a little they call it a feedback form, a survey with all the students. 92% of them answered. And we asked them, what is the knowledge you acquired in terms of using the platform? At the beginning of it, 45% had non-existent knowledge, and 34% felt that they were beginners. By the end of it, those went to 62% of them felt that they had moderate knowledge, and 27% high knowledge. So it really is showing that students are learning it, and this helps for you if you are a user of the platform. You are now getting the students who are able to use it. It helps with your learning of the platform. If you have labs, you know, they're getting in there, they know how to use it a lot better. You save time on training them on that, and you can do bigger projects, better projects with them. So before I go to the next steps, just going to stop one more time for any questions so far. So pretty much we've covered what the competition's about.
I have a small question about this. I know that students from Malta will be participating, and they will, however, if they win, they will not be taking an internship, and that's okay for us. I just wanted to make sure, however, that this will not influence whether or not they would place among the top students. So
No. If they make it to the final, they make it to the final. It's just that if they win, if they're one of the 5 winners, unfortunately, as we spoke, Christian, the office in Malta is just, it doesn't exist anymore. So we won't be able to accommodate them. But, we'll make sure they get, a certificate. And, if it happens, I'll see if there's anything I can do in terms of, maybe offering something more. But I can't promise. It'll be something that I'll do on a case by case. Let's say I'll speak to my manager to see if.
No.
Yeah.
That's not my concern. My concern is just to make sure that the process will be absolutely normal for them until they get. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. No. If they make it to the final, of course, we will not. They made it. That's fine.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. So I'll just move to the next one. Basically, what are the next steps? What do we need from you? So at this point, the briefing will send you the PDF guide of, everything that I covered today. My presentation will be in that PDF guide. We want you to nominate your 5 students. Make sure, that they're interested, they are engaged, they're committed. As usual, we don't want students that, just register and then never do anything. It's a shame because you might have another student who might have wanted to do it. So, make sure you're selecting the best students, the ones who are going to take part. You will send us those names to the address that is here. It's the same address as every year, and it will be in the booklet. We'll share the registration link with you and with the students. They will go to register just like you registered to these sessions. Once they confirm the sessions and their registration, they'll be asked to sign up to 2 of the sessions. And then when we open the platform, we'll give them the trials and we'll do the trainings with them just before, and we'll give them access to the landing page. So as last year, we'll have a specific page for the students with more videos, more PDF guides on how to do everything in the platform. We'll give them access to all the recordings of the sessions we'll have with them. And for this year, we're working to also have a small forum. So not only will they be able to email us, but there'll be a small forum where they can post questions and we can answer them quicker, or maybe another student can answer them. Maybe they can even talk to each other. They could banter a little bit, just to raise a little bit of interactivity between them. Just to, they can even post some things that, they saw in the market if they want to. So we're trying to just add a little bit more interactivity between them. Hopefully it will work. It will be a good one. And as usual, we'll hold the weekly sessions, we'll record those, and we'll share them with them. And just, I think the last page this is pretty much what they will see when they register. Very, very much the same as what you've seen when you registered. So that's how they registered to the 2 sessions. And I think those are the actual dates of the sessions here. And these sessions will be recorded. So if a student can't make it, we will send them the recording. We'll give them access to the page with all the guides. So they theoretically should not have any reason to miss any information. And if they do, they can get in touch with us. As usual, every year, I'll be, available. Rula, the project manager, will be available, and we'll have a team of customer success managers and specialists who are also assisting us throughout the period. So that's about it for me. I will open for, any final questions. Anything you guys want to ask me. Dr. Dalia, I saw your messages, but because I was presenting, I couldn't answer. So I'm really sorry. One more question, George.
Hi, George. How are you?
Yes.
Sorry for sending you a message. Was having a kind of difficulty in entering the session, but definitely
Okay.
was my confusion. So
No
all is-
worries.
thank you very much.
Nesma joined, I think, the session last week.
Yes,
So
yes,
everything is under control, I'm guessing, on
yes,
BUE side.
yes.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So I see a question in the chat from Ziad. So will you do this next year, semester 2? Ziad, we've been doing it yearly. So usually we're doing it the same period as now every year. We would love to do it more, but unfortunately, management only gives us that 1 month a year. Well, it's actually 2 months for us with all the preparation and work. We are not able to do it more than once a year. So for now, we have approval to do it in, let's say, third and fourth quarter of every year. Of course you can share the booklet with them. So the booklet that we'll send you will have, let's say, this presentation in more of a PDF format. Rula, I think some other universities asked if we have some banners we can give them. I don't know if we do.
Yes, we do have an invitation to the students if you want to share it. And we also have a post on LinkedIn that I can also share with you after this session. I'll be sharing all the material with you, and you are free to share it with your students.
Perfect. And share it with the students and screen them, filter them, if as you want. If we have situations that it has happened, I think once or twice in the last few years where maybe more than 5 students get nominated, what we'll do is obviously we'll ask you first, and if we don't get an answer, we'll just use the first 5 on the list that you send us. But it's a very rare occurrence. I think it only happened once or twice in the last 3-4 years. So just covering it just in case. So any questions from anyone?
George?
Yes.
You mentioned that the students should be from business schools. Can we nominate students from other faculties interested in portfolio management and finance?
Absolutely. This is a question that comes, I think it came also this year in the previous sessions. We do not tell you what to do. We obviously, in general, we think the finance schools will want, but if you have a student that is interested from another school and you see a commitment and a passion for it, of course, we are not controlling it. We're just giving you, these are guidance from us. So you can nominate from any school, and you can nominate as well from any level in terms of seniority. If it's a first year or fourth year, it's not a problem for us. We've seen juniors do very, very well in the past. I think the first year, I think the winner in terms of the final score was a junior, and she wasn't even a finance major. She was a business admin major. So there is talent everywhere, and it's up to you to choose who you want. And yeah, ideally, let's say, the best student for this would be someone who is graduating this year, like in summer, because then they can graduate and go to the internship, but that is not mandatory at all. It's open to everyone. We let you make that decision. We don't, let's say, dictate what you need to do. You know your students much better than we do.
Thank you, George.
Welcome. Dr. Nassar?
Thank you, George. I have a question along these lines about whether postgraduate students are allowed to participate or not.
Theoretically, they are. The only thing I would tell you about postgrads is that if they win an internship, sometimes they can't benefit from it because they might have a job and they don't want to lose their job just to do a 2-month internship with us. So they can, but in the end result, they might not get the most out of it. Last year we had a student who was one of the winners, but he already had a job, and he couldn't take the internship because he didn't want to lose his job. So you can, but again, it depends on you and on them. But we have no problem.
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much. I will make them aware about that.
Of course. All right. So I think if there's no more questions, I'll give you guys all, 25 minutes back. As usual, I think most of you know me. Reach out to me, reach out to Rilla if you have questions in the meantime. We'll be sending you the recordings. We'll be sending you the booklet immediately as well. And yeah, we'll be waiting for your nominations and looking forward to another great years. I think on this call, we have 2 winners from last year, 2 universities that won last year. So always happy to have you guys on board.